Hey everyone, I hope you are having a wonderful day so far. I am just dropping this special little clip into all the episodes. So, no matter what episode you're listening to, this is actually pretty current as of July 2024. I wanted to come on here and just say a big thank you to Earworthy because the Life Shift podcast was just named the best overall podcast of the year in the first Earworthy Independent Podcast Awards. And you've probably seen some articles written about the Life Shift podcast before, written by Earworthy. And now he is launching from his online publication, he is launching these yearly winners of independent podcast awards. And these are specifically for indie podcasters. We are those that wear all the hats. We create the show. Some people write the show. We're producers, sound engineers. We troubleshoot all the tech. We do any kind of research if we need to. We host the shows. We distribute the shows. We do all the things that relate to our shows because we love it. And it's so nice to see my name in a list with some other amazing podcasts like Multispective, which won Best Life Lessons Podcast. Salad with a Side of Fries won Best Health Podcast. Bippity Boppity Business won Best Business Advice Podcast. And there are so many more. And so I just want to come on here and say thank you to Earworthy for not only doing these awards every year and just honoring some of us indie podcasters that sometimes feel like we're just shouting into the void, but we're not. We're just doing what brings us joy, and hopefully through that work it brings other people joy. In my case, for the Life Shift, I hope that each episode finds the ears that needed to hear it the most so that they feel a little less alone in their circumstance. But also, Earworthy writes all these amazing publications pretty much weekly, every week, every weekday, I should say, where he writes on Blogger, Medium, Substack, Tumblr, Vocal, Many Stories, and for other places. And he really just highlights the independent podcasters. So thank you, Frank, for everything you do with Earworthy and for recognizing all of us in the first Earworthy Independent Podcast Awards. If you'd like to read more, please head to medium.com/EAR hyphen WORTHY. Thanks again and enjoy this episode. I'm Matt Gilhooly, and this is The Life Shift. Candid conversations about the pivotal moments that have changed lives forever. Hello, my friends. Welcome to a special bonus episode of the Life Shift podcast. And if you're listening to this on February 17th, it's my birthday. And if you're a listener of the show, you know that I like to share my feelings. So I figured today would be a good day to put out a little special bonus episode. In about 4 weeks, the Life Shift podcast will be 1 year old. I don't know if that's how you age podcasts, but it will be the 1 year anniversary of the first 2 episodes coming out. And next week, episode 50 is released. And I'm pretty close to hitting a pretty decent milestone of listeners, listens, and downloads of all the episodes that are out now. And I have a great group of supporters on the Patreon feed. In fact, as of right now, as I'm recording, we only need 2 more supporters to join before the next t-shirt giveaway. I do that giveaway every time 5 more people join. So there's always a chance to win one of the t-shirts that I've designed for the show. This journey has been one of the most fulfilling journeys I've ever been on. I certainly did not know what it would be when I started creating these episodes for that class in my master's program a year ago. But wow, thank you for all of you listening for this journey. Myself, I've learned many technical skills for the show because I do it all from the beginning to the end. So, I learned how to edit audio and put the episodes together, video editing for the YouTube channel, creating a variety of assets for social media and for the guests, and in general, gained knowledge about the podcasting industry as a whole. But I'd say that the best skills that I've gained are active listening skills. For so long, I always felt that I was just sitting around waiting for the next silence so that I could say the next best thing. But with this show, I've I've really learned to let the conversations go where they need to go. I've learned to be curious and ask the questions that come to mind as they come. And if I had a great question and my guest is not finished talking, I let that question go. And if I've forgotten it by the time it's time for me to say something, that's okay, because that's not where the conversation was meant to go. My guests have been so receptive to this approach, and they are so generous to share their stories on my show and with the world and with all of you listening. Since the launch, somehow I've received over 100 ratings on Apple Podcast and like nearly 90 written reviews. And so in this episode, I just wanted to shout out some of the wonderful people that have left these reviews. The most recent one, Jamie, says, I've enjoyed this podcast and the many guest stories, thought-provoking and heartfelt experiences. It's made me examine my own life shifts and outcomes, and I can't wait for more. And Andrea Vall of the Late Starters Club podcast says, I'm a new listener and loving this podcast. The stories people share really showcase perseverance, innovation, and creativity as people make huge changes in their lives. Love it and can't wait to keep listening. Huge fan. Nick LaPara of Let's Give a Damn podcast, which is a big deal. Matt is a great question asker and authentic soul, and his guests are fantastic. Don't sleep on this podcast. Subscribe today. Olivia of the Fresh Story podcast, who I've gotten to know on Twitter, left me this review. As the founder of a company who helps people through life changes, I'm always biased when it comes to podcasts about life changes, but this is the real deal. I love this podcast and learn something new in every episode. A great show. Thank you, Olivia. John Kelly, who actually is the host of Small Business Origins podcast and is the guest for episode 50, wrote, wow, the way I relate to Matt's story is heartbreaking. As someone who's been through so much in my life, these episodes resonate with me in a way that few can understand. You have to listen to this podcast and remind yourself, just like I do, that as bad as we have it sometimes, someone always has it worse. It can be an emotional listen, but you won't regret tuning in. John, thank you for that. I really appreciate it. Sarah, who I think, based on the screen name of the reviewer, I think she was a guest early on in, I think, December. This podcast is a gift to anyone who has ever navigated a life shift and felt alone. It's easy to feel like we're the only one who's gone through the worst. Matt has a gift of sharing the stories of his guests and providing hope to those who listen. Another guest, Pamela, which her episode just came out recently, she wrote, Matt has found his purpose. I agree. And his passion shows. He has a comforting way of speaking to his guests, many of which have hardships or trauma to share, and it really comes across how safe they feel in this vulnerable space with Matt. All the stories of his guests have something relatable and thought-provoking within their stories. I highly recommend you listen to the trailer to hear Matt's own story and then start listening to others. Thank you, Pamela. My friend Marty wrote in way early in this journey, and he left a review saying, in listening to in-depth, candid conversations with a wide range of guests, the listener is treated to real people examining real moments in their lives that changed everything. We all have shifts, big and small, throughout our lives. Each episode here shares pearls of wisdom and guidance through listening to how others took what happened to them and funneled it into a new direction, often with inspiring results. Highly recommend. Thank you, Marty. And the last one that I want to highlight is from Jackie Scully of the Teacher Story podcast. She was on my show and I was on her show, but I think she wrote this before either of those events happened. Matt is such a great communicator. He has a way about him with making his guests feel at ease to then open up to share vulnerable stories about their greatest life shifts. I love the premise of the show, especially at a time of living in a pandemic. So many people are reflecting on their lives right now and how they want to live more authentically. This show is very relevant with the times. Matt shows so much strength and courage in episode 11 where he shares his intimate story. Awesome work, Matt. I can't wait to dive into more episodes. Super kind. Thank you. So, wow. That's all I can say about these reviews. There are so many nice things. There have been a few that weren't as nice, and that's okay because that means that we're doing what we set out to do and that there is a particular listener that wants to hear these stories, and not every podcast is for everyone. So thank you guys for leaving these reviews and for listening to the show every week. It's just really wonderful to know that my intention with this show kind of seems to be coming across. I set out that each episode would find the ears that needed to hear it the most. We all have our stories, but sometimes we feel so very alone in that particular experience. So I hope you find an episode that makes you feel validated and less alone in whatever you're going through, and that you find the inspiration to grow from your experiences, good, bad, or somewhere in between. And with that, I'm off to celebrate my birthday. Thank you guys for being fantastic listeners and sharing the show with people you know and just listening every week. It really, really means a lot. And thank you for this fulfilling journey. We'll see you on Tuesday for the next episode of the Life Shift podcast.